Yes, but here we go. It's happening.
Yeah, draw for the win for Rylan Kleider. Needs a piece of the forefoot. He's been really good all game. Trevor Johnson on this one here.
Can't hear yet for line ever.
No, they
Line's
like
good.
line. Now does it have the speed? They like the line. Does it have the speed? They're going hard for line. You have to get by this top yellow. Trevor Johnson leaning on it. He's by it. Now does it stop in time? Has to stop in time. What a shot from Rylan. We thought it was maybe the hardest option up from the booth, but that's why we're not down there.
A long day, a job well done, and the final work call. Where your place? Come as you are and fit in comfortably. Mr. Mike's. Eat locally, enjoy casual.
Stood at the pinnacle of curling and battled in the most intense games.
Out on the ice, there's no room for compromise.
And when the pressure's on, every millimeter counts.
It's not just a game.
It's about maximizing performance.
Pushing limits.
Seizing victory.
When victory hangs in the balance,
I know what I'm relying on.
It's a gold line. It's a gold line. It's a gold line.
And it's the choice of champions.
When you conquered another.
Eat locally, enjoy casual.
Stood at the pinnacle of curling and battled in the most intense games.
Out on the ice, there's no room for compromise.
and when the pressure's on, every millimeter counts.
It's not just a game.
It's about maximizing performance.
Pushing limits.
Seizing victory.
When victory hangs in the balance,
I know what I'm relying on.
It's a gold line. It's a gold line. It's a gold line.
And it's the choice of champions.
When it comes to the game we love, having the right gear makes all the difference.
Gold Line's new curling shoes and brooms are a game changer.
The shoes, unbelievably comfortable.
And the brooms, lightweight and effective, giving you control on every sweep.
When I step onto the ice, I'm not just prepared, I look sharp.
Have you seen these shoes? They are a game changer.
And the brooms, light as a feather.
It's a Gold Line.
It's a Gold Line.
It's a gold line.
And is the choice of champions.
It has happened where people just haven't noticed when they've run out of time. I'm like, sounds good. Oh, overcooked it a bit. Jeez.
Clean! Keep going, ET! Keep going! Keep going! Keep going! Keep going! Keep going! Keep going!
Minus 1,000 Flash will win Apparay Curl.
Oh, they're really sweeping this, boys.
They're
really sweeping this. Oh boy, you can't give up a steal here.
No.
Perfect.
Okay, nice shot from Caitlin.
So here we go, it's happening.
Yeah, draw for the win for Rylan Kleider. Needs a piece of the forefoot. He's been really good all game. Trevor Johnson on this one here.
Can't hear yet for line ever.
No,
Oh,
they
line's
like
good.
line. Now does it have the speed? They like the line. Does it have the speed? They're going hard for line. You have to get by this top yellow. Trevor Johnson leaning on it. He's by it. Now does it stop in time? Has to stop in time. What a shot from Rylan Kleider. We thought it was maybe the hardest option up from the booth, but that's why we're not down there.
A long day, a job well done, and the final work call, where your eat locally, enjoy casual.
Stood at the pinnacle of curling and battled in the most intense games.
Out on the ice, there's no room for compromise.
And when the pressure's on, every millimeter counts.
It's not just a game.
It's about maximizing performance.
Pushing limits.
Seizing victory.
When victory hangs in the balance,
I know what I'm relying on.
It's a gold line.
It's a gold line.
It's a gold line.
And it's the choice of champions.
And you conquered another game.
A long day, a job well done, and the final work call, where your place. Come as you are and fit in comfortably. Mr. Mike's. Eat locally, enjoy casual.
Stood at the pinnacle of curling and battled in the most intense games.
Out on the ice, there's no room for compromise.
and when the pressure's on, every millimeter counts.
It's not just a game.
It's about maximizing performance.
Pushing limits.
Seizing victory.
When victory hangs in the balance,
I know what I'm relying on.
It's a gold line.
It's a gold line.
It's a gold line.
And it's the choice of champions.
When it comes to the game we love, having the right gear makes all the difference.
Gold Line's new curling shoes and brooms are a game changer.
The shoes, unbelievably comfortable. And the brooms, lightweight and effective, giving you control on every sweep.
When I step onto the ice, I'm not just prepared, I look sharp.
Have you seen these shoes? They are a game changer.
And the brooms, light as a feather.
It's a gold line.
It's a gold line.
It's a gold line.
And is the choice of champions.
It has happened where people just haven't noticed and they've run out of time. I'm like, sounds good.
Live tiebreaker action from the Co-op Canadian Open, the second leg of the Grand Slam Curling Tour. Nisku, Alberta, the Silent Ice Arena. Tyler George here with former teammate, good buddy, John Schuster, jumping in the booth. Johnny, two teams that you've played already twice in the Slams. Very familiar with them, not just from this season, but many in years past too.
Yeah, it's it seems some years you run into people all the time, some years you don't, and this has been a year where we've ran into McEwen several times and Dunstone. So
we're coming in right for the beginning of the game, so we'll check out the lineups for this key matchup. First for Team Dunstone, skip Matt Dunstone. Third, BJ Neufeld. Second, Colton Lott. And lead, Ryan Harnden. And for Team McEwen, skip Mike McEwen. Third, Colton Flash.
he is, but Dan Marsh holds the broom when McEwen throws, so he's the vice.
Yes, Kevin Marsh, lead, Dan Marsh.
Hold the line, that'd be great.
Danny is the vice. Always got to check, you know, I went to the full anchor man, you know, Ron Burgundy on that one. But we do have it straight. We're already underway.
And yeah, they're one of those teams that has somebody else holding the broom other than the guy throwing vice, and they do that because Colton Flash, as one Ben Hebert once told me, is when you have a Ferrari, you don't keep it in the garage. And that's Colton Flash in the broom.
Said it about himself, yes.
No, he said that about Colton Flash when they played together in
Oh, I
2019.
thought Colton
No.
was the one that said it.
No, Flash was taking rocks back in 2019 when he was playing with Cooey and Hebert. And Colton swept almost every rock. And don't keep that Ferrari in the garage.
Do not.
Line's great.
Ryan Harnden, the man they call Pete, playing the intern come-around draw.
Does anybody know the story how that happened?
I've asked every player that's been up here. Nobody knows. Nobody's texted in. There it is.
What's the depth? What's the depth? Top 4.
Nice come around there from Harnden right to the top of the button.
They don't have the names right.
You know, this game might help me with distinguishing who the Marsh brothers are together by having to say their names constantly. But
it's a learning experience, I think, for both of us, too.
I'm married to an identical twin, and I've never been able to not tell them apart. But
Yeah.
these guys, I have trouble with.
I'm with you there.
Gotta go, gotta go, gotta go.
This is Dan Marsh.
Holy moly, that girl.
Outturn, come around.
We got a holy moly already, Tyler.
That one doesn't go in the swear jar, so we're okay with that.
Yeah, top 8's money.
I believe Dunstone does not have his mic on, which will definitely change the swear jar numbers for this draw. Harnden second, playing the outturn. Taking a corner freeze on this rock in the top of the 8-foot. John, we've seen early in games, this is the third time we've had Team Dunstone in the feature game. They've played extremely conservative starting out. Both games they had hammer in the first and drew open side to start things off. But
I actually saw later in the game yesterday, I think Mao at 7th end, those guys drew open side as well.
Seen a lot more of that in this slam than the first one, too. That's really well done by Harnden. Great start for him.
Yeah, pretty good angles there set up for Team Dunstone.
Is that the one that's on the bottom? Yeah, or wherever, yeah. They owe me, he's gotta get it running. He's gonna curl.
Kevin Marsh now throwing second stones. Squad last year's Briar runner-up. Great run.
Go ahead, then. Yep. Go ahead. Line's great.
High hopes for this quad. Get themselves into contention for the Briar again, and of course the Olympics are already looming. A little ways away. Something my co-commentator is very familiar with. His 5 Olympic appearances.
Well, we're not going to have an open first end today, it doesn't look like, Tyler.
Yeah, the team's going right after it, which we love up here in the booth. And that is something, John, that we really kind of question, too, with Team Dunstone. Kind of one of their hallmarks has been their ability to score 2s and 3s when they get on the offensive. As unfortunately you're aware of from the previous slam and consecutive games for them in the qualifier against you and then against Mike in the quarters. Scored a 3, down by 2 in the 8th end.
Yeah, we might have helped a little bit with that with a little burnt rock, but we're not going to talk about that, Tyler.
Yeah, I set you up so you could, bring that up too.
No, but I mean that's exactly it. Like, you know, they got a couple threes to win games there in the qualifier and then in the quarterfinal game. But and sometimes it takes some half shots, and unfortunately for that, Dunstone. And I think this is something, Ty, that according to my boys, since I didn't play the game, we played on this sheet, but there is. It seems like this week. When you get out to that edge of that 8-foot, if you get inside of it, we'll hook across the center line, and there's one fine line that you can get to the center on sometimes on these sheets, and you get a little outside of it, and we've seen now 2 both track and miss wide. So
we definitely saw that last night in the Tiranzoni Ha game where he got in between those tracks a few times and lost a few narrow, and then all of a sudden chucked one through. So that would not surprise me at all to hear that from your guys.
Yeah, it's kind of been a theme of the weekend, which is kind of makes it tricky, and I think we've seen some maybe lower percentages on a few draws that are, you know, having to go just butting up to the center line. That's just a really tough spot to get to.
Kevin Marsh is second. For a short discussion for Team McEwen, electing just to hit this rock on the tee line. Ranked number 7 in the world. 3rd year to date. Great start to the year for Team McEwen. Pretty heavy schedule, similar to your own, John, with 7 events played. Made the semis at the first slam at the Tour Challenge. 3 victories outside that at the Okotoks Classic, Saville Shootout, and the PointsBet Invitational, throwing in a semifinal finish at the Fall Classic.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that Okotoks final.
See, we got to get you guys to win an event. Then there's one that we want to talk about.
Yeah, right. No, we can. That event was going great.
Yeah.
It was both of us were undefeated going to the final, playing really good, and they played an incredible 3rd end, and we had a couple unfortunate things, and they popped us for a 3 there, and kind of end of story. So it was
nice little tap by Colton Lott, a shot that he's played a lot the last few years with his mixed doubles game as well.
That bumped that rock far enough here, Ty. Mikey might be able to get to the nose of this thing, or just inside nose, and it might just clip that one on the back if he can get inside nose here.
Yeah, Colton seemed to agree, and Mike does as well, based on the body language.
No, doesn't love it, though. Well, this is one of those things. You can do it with this shot and have it be difficult, or set it up with one prior, and Mike decided setting up is going to be a better situation for him here.
Yeah, he's losing at least one of his own, if not 2.
Probably both.
If he throws that
if he
hard.
wants to lose the red, but.
Whoa! Gonna have to go here, I think. Mike, control, Mike. Yep.
Colton Flash, lobbing one down into this pile, top of the 4s.
Curl! You gotta curl it! Really gotta curl!
I'm gonna tap this thing too far.
Okay.
They like that result. Colton carrying the banner with 1 Brier championship. World silver medalist in 2019. Team Cooey. All 4 sheets being used this morning. The other 3 for the women's tiebreakers, with Carey and Laws on sheet B. Sturmey Anderson on sheet C. Yoshimura Tirazoni on sheet D.
Yeah, some things changed last night with that White Retornez last end.
Yeah, it's a very interesting setup. We'll get back into it here after this shot with BJ looking to move a bunch of granite. BJ Neufeld. Right now sitting 2. Looks to be 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 5th.
And that yellow sitting up
1st,
there
2nd,
might have
4th,
moved
and
just into a precarious enough spot for him where this gets a little bit scary for Mike.
That's what I'm seeing. Yeah, run it. Even if you flushed it here, be good.
Yeah, there's a pretty big spot for them to run this rock
Out
into.
turn?
It's a lot of good results here with this run. I like the call from Mike.
I I would think so.
Action A looks to be just right into that pocket of the two reds in the top of the eights. Colton Flash will take that on.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Yep. Hard. Whoa. Hard. Yeah.
Hard, Mike. Hard. Hard. In on that.
It's still now
Shot sucks pretty good, man.
2
That was really good.
for McEwen. They do call a timeout in this game, John, for Team McEwen. Coach Brent Lang will not be out there as he's on his way to a beach somewhere, luxurious destination.
I think there's a song about that.
Yeah, there's a seat open next to me for that reason. Brent might be out there watching.
Well, I hope
hopefully with a cocktail in his hand already.
I hope his beach is going to be as nice as my beach is going to be right after the St. John Slam coming up here.
All you guys going to nice places.
Yeah, you know, when you get the invite to go to Hawaii, you go to Hawaii. That's what I'm doing.
Say you have to. I've been there a few times. That's in my top couple places I've ever been.
It's always been on my bucket list. Never been there. Going to be there for the first time here coming up in December.
You're not going to want to leave, my friend. Where in Hawaii?
We're going to Maui.
Oh, yep. Bumpy and I were there post-event. Fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's something I deserve after the amount of travel we've done.
That.
But that's going to be a wild trip. Let's see what BJ can do here. But
Back four.
Feld looking to just...
He taps us just inside nose, and Mikey's going to be sweating a little bit back here.
Wants to unlock these a little bit. Really curling now.
Back four.
Looks pretty darn good to me. Find out after they hit here, though.
Just a hair high. We've had but 4 or 5 shots this end where the team kind of shrugs their shoulders afterwards, not sure if they like it.
And I think on this outturn side here, the first end, we've seen the guys call sweep like they believe it's going to curl and instantly get off and then be calling for curl. So I don't know if there's just one little break spot that it hits somewhere in the middle and then kind of stops and runs again. But
Do you make them all go, no?
it's one of the interesting things, you know, like you can watch on TV, you can be up in a booth and not quite realize, you know, what's exactly happening. But when you're seeing it on the ice, sometimes it's kind of hard to believe when you have, and you know better than anybody, because I think you're one of those people who sees the break.
But that doesn't
better than anybody I've talked to. Like, oh, it broke there. I'd be like, what are you talking about? Because you'd even see it better than I did. But like this weekend, it's been kind of once in a while take a break and then kind of just track the line it runs on as opposed to keeping gaining curl the rest of the time. So
then I'm coming in. Yeah, this. Get. How's this gonna run? I don't want to stuff it either, man. It's not great.
There is the shot up in the booth too, the rare one.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh. It's a pairing you've probably seen standing next to each other many times over the years.
A little bit of curl.
It's been a while, that's for sure. Maybe there'll be a reunion spiel at some point.
Hey, that's going to require you to get back into curling there, Ty.
Yeah, well.
into playing
not
curling.
One I'd be training for.
Oh, come on. If I'm playing with you in a spiel, we're going to win. We're not going there to...
Oh, that's still it. Definitely the case. We'll take applications for front end positions. Starting right now.
Is he smashing this on the nose?
Yeah, he thinks maybe he can get all 3 of these going.
If you touch the yellow on the way by, I think they all do go.
Just a redirect here for McEwen trying to play this top red into yellow, into red.
No! Yes!
Yeah, I think I'll side with Mr. Marsh on that one, actually. Did need to be a hair higher. But a pretty good result overall.
That's one of the more aggressive line calling arguments I've ever heard.
Yeah. Yeah, and nice to see, too, when the shot was over, they're smiling at each other and not glaring. That's a rare occasion out here.
Man,
not for this team, but
I feel like if I was so aggressively saying the opposite thing to Chris, even if we made the shot, I don't think he'd talk to me for 3 ends. I'd be very tempted to try to just throw the freeze in that back one right now. I think Red's shot rock here.
Looking on your screen here as well, I'm sure you figured out by this point that the names are reversed on the rocks and the colors. Assure you that Dunstone is indeed red. McEwen is yellow. That might be very important in about 2 minutes here too.
This is one of those ends when you're Matt Dunstone, you're glad you have the last rock advantage with all those yellows around the house.
You gotta get low on the yellow, right?
Yeah, John, in these situations too, for Team McEwen, anytime you can make your opposing skip look at a pile in the first end without a hammer, you clench up a little tighter when you're having to throw that key draw on the first, especially early morning game.
Yeah, it's definitely the best end you can ever get to have your opposing skip throw a draw, against a bunch of points, because you don't know, is it going to be the same as draw to button? How much did it change? How much? And I think as the game goes on, you have a better idea if you have to make some sort of draw or some sort of guess. And in the first end, ends up being a little bit more of a guess sometimes because you're just not sure. And this is kind of something you and I were talking about, I think, prior to the broadcast, but they moved the broom into the edge of the 8-foot, and these ones tend to break a little bit more. I was throwing this hard. And same thing, you break out that draw to the button a little further out, and in here you got to throw it a little bit harder in the first end, which sometimes is surprising,
This is taking that turn. It got just inside that path. Trying to get back to the stone in the back of the 8-foot. Really good sweep there from Lawton Harnden.
And now he's done the exact same thing we were talking about McEwen is looking to do to him. Is going to put a lot of pressure on Mike to throw a good draw here.
Follow it. That's such an easy shopper too, but I don't have it now, so. Well, it's like if you chip off, it's no. Yeah, it's for 3. Are we second? Yeah, we're 2. Yeah, I don't think we want to be as deep as what you were saying there, Kev. We don't want to get right to it because it's so easy.
Did they look at that again after that rock stop? Because I think they nudged it a little bit, but they must be pretty confident they're still second.
Yeah, tough to tell with that red rock where it is, how far the yellow is away from the 4-foot. It does look red. Or sorry, it does look yellow. But the overhead view, God knows how many times we've been wrong on that. Looking around the sheets here too. There are 5 players in these games that were up in the broadcast booth this week.
I guess I should have came up here earlier.
Yeah, I mean, at least it gets you into a tiebreaker apparently, and for 3 of them are on one team with Val, Joanne, and Barry. They got a lot of help last night to help get them in the tiebreaker round.
Good.
Funny to say that when they got a lot of help in the men's draw.
Yeah, both sides of it.
Ty, I feel like every time I need that help, I never get it. I don't understand.
I don't know of anybody that ever says they feel like they do get it.
Well, these girls can't say that the next line.
Oh, it's on. We have the tape now. It's here.
I like it.
McEwen playing the intern chase, trying to follow.
She's got a lot more rotation on this thing than Maddie did, so let's see if it curls similarly.
It's got more room, definitely, and it's running right now.
Line's good. Line's really good.
Just throwing at the top 4, but looks like it's going to be all the way back.
This taps off. This is exactly what Mike was worried about here.
It's tap, but still a good piece tucked.
Yeah, even you're good at 3rd. Yeah, I think it's a 3rd.
I mean, Dunny's got a couple options here.
Yeah,
you gonna angle this thing in here for 2?
I mean, you can throw 10-5 as well. Okay.
Yeah, as you can see, you can only see probably a big half, maybe 2/3 of that rock, and just doesn't think it's going to get enough finish here to make that tap for 2 or 3. So he's electing to play the angle slasher, Ty.
Like a 3rd.
Yeah, he knows he can make this one. Actually, probably the safest shot as well.
Matt with his signature smash the bottom of the rock clean with his
sure, it's very effective too. Dunstone lining up this out-turn slash. Seen my skipper make this one plenty of times.
Out-turn angle slash, Ty?
Seen a few. Final stone, first end. Matt Dunstone. He's playing a normal weight on this hit, if that. Line's tight. Arnden trying to hold it. Need to hit a third. Will it sit for second? It will. Great shot from Dunstone. Great sweep from Arnden to hold that. They do get their 2 in the first. Dunstone leads McEwen 2-0 after 1.
I've stood at the pinnacle of curling and battled in the most intense games.
Out on the ice, there's no room for compromise.
And when the pressure's on, every millimeter counts.
It's not just a game.
It's about maximizing performance.
When you've conquered another game, a long day, a job well done, and the final work call, where your place. Come as you are and fit in comfortably. Mr. Mike's. Eat locally, enjoy casual. When you've conquered another game.
Great shot from Matt Dunstone to secure their deuce in the first end to play. 2-0 lead over Mike McEwen. Tyler George here with 5-time Olympian, 2-time medalist John Schuster. Johnny, we talked a little bit in the first end about load management for schedule. The season, you said that this is as many events as you've played up to this point. We've seen as many as 10 events from Team Ha playing now in this one as well. And we talk so much about peaking at the right time, but trying to find a rhythm at the same time. So where do you think that sweet spot is for your squad? Because it definitely changes from team to team.
Yeah, I think that kind of changes between the beginning and the end of the season for us. You know, this year we had 2 things earmarked as far as peaking, and that was, you know, this past week at Pans, because qualifying our country for the Worlds was first and foremost on our list of to-dos, and now the next time we're going to be looking for that is Nationals and then hopefully Worlds. But yeah, you definitely, and who knows, maybe that was a little bit to do with, you know, our lack of ability this week as you put so much emphasis onto another event. So yeah, it's without ice early in the season, I think we try to play more. And now that we've practiced ice at home, I think it's a little bit play a little bit less. We get a little more practice in. So. But I think that's what makes, you know, the teams that are in the slams, you know, you got your Mowats, your Torneses, these Gushus that are in every single one of these. Is the periodization of peaking is pretty easy when you got 3-4 weeks in between. And, you know, you play one in between some of these slams. I bet a lot of these guys aren't playing between now and the St. John Slam. So.
Speaking of that St. John's Slam, rumors that it's going to be a packed house pretty much all week long. That 4,000-seat arena. A lot of hometown fans coming out to see Team Gushu, obviously, but all the rest of the top teams in the world. Well, you'll be tuning in for that one as well in a few weeks.
Yeah,
really
they love their curling. They love their curling in the Maritimes, man. We were just out when we were in Prince Edward Island for that first slam, same deal. Like, it just seems that the Maritimers just truly love curling, and they've always treated us almost like a home team as well, and I think they do that with all the teams.
Soft weight hit, trying to move both these Reds around. Dan Marsh. Let's move one to the back of the house and sits in a decent position.
The air sweep by Colton Flash there really carried that rock back in the last from the tee line on.
That's how good he is. Doesn't even have to touch the ice. A lot playing the come around draw. They're content to leave that rock in the top of the 12-foot on the center line right now. Already sitting 2. John, the rationale probably being that they want Team McEwen to have to move that stone themselves. Looking at 3 as opposed to 2, but now actually throwing it to a tight guard. Thought maybe they were wrapping there.
And that may have been the call, and this might have just come up late. I'm not exactly sure.
I think pretty easy call for Mike here to try to split these up.
Oh, yeah.
Back line. Yeah.
These are the ones that you really want to make sure you're there, too. Got to get separation on these stones. The over curl is the one that hurts you on this shot and keeping the center congested. Kevin Marsh throwing that out-turn split on the stone on the top of the 12-foot.
Whoa! Back 12. Only back T-line. Back 4. Curl. Back 8. Back 4. Straight. Curl.
Not a lot of weight, so making sure they catch this pin.
Yeah, it looks like he's done a great job of that.
A good leave on both yellow stones buried under guards. That'll force Dunstone to play the run, try to open things up. I haven't seen these do a whole lot, John. Pretty much putting broom right where you want to hit it.
This is probably the trickiest spot on the sheet, though, right on around that edge of that 4-foot, because sometimes they've been fading, sometimes they've been running straight. And no, the Team Schuster special. Running the corner guard to double off the one under and dead stuffing it.
Just sticks under, and broken record on this, too. Said so many times. That's why the sport is as frustrating as it is the perfect make and the worst result are about a half inch off of each other.
Huh?
Yeah, it's one of those things in curling. You try to avoid that being the case on a too regular of a basis.
Hey, you had to have thrown it pretty good to get that result, too.
Good. Heavy. Heavy. Whoa. Yep. Good. Whoa. Yep. Hard. Good. Hard. Come on.
Flash trying to hold this one now.
Good. Shot.
Wasn't going to roll away, so sweep to try to get maybe even a piece under the guard. Stone's starting to pile up in the house now for Team McEwen.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not positive. I know Matt just talked about angling that center guard off there, but man, you ever happen to catch that hole and all of a sudden you're looking at 4 rocks in the house and 1 corner guard without the hammer? I'm not sure I love this call, to be honest. I think I would have been tempted to follow and play the same shot they just played here.
I think so too.
You do that and then they hit that and then you have a wall of yellow to run into, as opposed to now having, there's some pockets that you could run this through. Wouldn't be the most ideal.
Neufeld trying to get a few of these moving in the house. Dead sticks, a little unfortunate, but does open up one of the counters, loses another one, so a decent result. And does also, John, open up the draw path on that side too, except for the yellow in the top 12. Yeah.
Like nose and not? Or nosing is hard to freeze it. Easiest shot. My only worry is there might be a triple if we hit that. The other shot is the same thing. Okay. Probably too hard to freeze that red, hey? Yeah, it's going to be a guess. Yeah, it's a pretty nice shot, hey, if you hit and roll off this one. Or it's play this chip that's thin to get under this. It's tough. I mean, really. What about just hitting that red and rolling all the way that way? This one. Yeah. I know it's 3/4 under, but
I don't think I'm chasing that stone. No.
Like you're running.
Like I know they're worried about this triple in the back, but it's not a super high percentage chance they're getting all 3. And even if they do, you got a double corner guard to do a draw under and get 2 anyways. This to me is a no-brainer, which they got to.
Agreed on the call here.
As the game happens, Ty, we're going to see these guys have to get there faster and faster because they burnt a lot of time in that first end.
24-41 for McEwen right now, 25-12 for Dunstone. That is a considerable amount of time used already.
Clean! Yep! Well.
Well done there from Flash. And that's a good leave there too, John, with the concern about the triple not near as much with how they're lined up. It would have to be so thin on that rock in the top of the 8-foot to catch the back one too.
Okay.
3.
And right now, they're talking about playing just the nose double from the top to the back. And, it runs a little bit, and that's going to be probably your best chance to make the triple anyways. So same thing, like this is a place where the best shot and the worst shot or the best shot and second best are only a half inch apart. So you got a little bit of ability to make the decision on the way down. So.
And they both go anyways. Look at that. So even though it was a little thin, all three go. Great shot there from Neufeld, cleaning it up. But, John, as you said, there's still 2 corners for them to go around, staggered on this side. So 2 is definitely still in play. Feeling a little better now, definitely, for Team McEwen after that shot.
Yeah, no, they're going to be a little bit outside that draw button path. So as Mike said, it's a little bit of a guess out here, but guess worth taking because you still have the intern path open if you need to draw for your one at the end of the end. So.
Close. Good line. Top 8. Top 8. Gotta hold it. Top 8. Ah, it's gone. No. It's gone.
Got you the score update for my kids' game competing this weekend. They're playing the #1 seed in their U18 qualifier, and my children's team average age is 12, and they're tied with the #1 seed at the 4th end break, 3-3. Let's go.
And anybody watching now, knowing that you're on the feed, is probably interested in that score as well. If they were tuning in knowing you were calling, so keep the updates coming.
I mean, everybody's seen your ability to watch multiple games at a time, and anybody who's watched any of these games, Ty, is you're constantly updating what's going on in other sheets, and that's my second game that I'm kind of have a half an eye on.
Oh, I'd get bored if it was just one game.
Is that why you retired so early?
Yeah.
You're just bored.
Yeah, I'm starting to look at the other sheets too much. Speaking of other games, over on Sheet C, the booth bump helping out Team Anderson. 3 of them were in the broadcast booth this week, and after giving up a 2 in the first, 4 in the second. Now leads Sturmey 4-2.
There's been a lot of big numbers put up this week on the board. Unfortunately, a few of them are against us, but
up close and personal, we've seen them. It's that come around draw from
Shorted.
Flash. We got out into the weeds a little bit, trying to come around wide.
Talking about.
Yeah. So all systems go for Team Dunstone now on the attack.
You got a bit of room. Line good. Up close. You got room. You got room, guys.
Trying to wrap this around a top 8.
It has to curl, guys. Oh, Pete. Yep, Pete. Hard
Now starting to fish.
Hard. Go.
A really good spot there. Maybe didn't quite bury completely.
Actually, as that rock was probably 10 feet above the hog line, Matt just kind of shrugged his shoulders like, what the heck is going on? And then all of a sudden it made a break and turned out to be pretty much where they were trying to put it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard shot. That's not going to get to.
McEwen's looking at maybe taking on this thin double here, but
I kind of like it. We know we can hold it in the spot. Yeah. Like it's a normal waiter. Normal waiter right here. It's only quiet.
I think the evolution I've seen here in probably the last couple of years, Ty, is teams' interest and ability to take on thinner, like doubles than maybe it used to be back when you were playing with me. I swear we've both made and had made more quarter rock doubles that were called that I was just like, I don't think this is worth the risk anymore right now. But just the ability to control the rocks with sweeping on the way down the sheet has made these a lot less scary than they used to be. I mean, they're not quite as comfortable back as they were in 2016, but
that's fair. Not going to go into why that was the case, probably, but it's now a thin double being taken on by McEwen. And the turn to get a little more backwards kick.
Yeah, solid normal.
Solid normal the weight doing this with how thin it is. McEwen's first. Flash on this right away, trying to hold it.
Looks like it must be over curling based on the reaction here.
It's that in-between roll right through the gap.
Okay.
It's up open side 12.
Roll the back 4. Yep. Firm? Sure.
And as they say in curling, the force is on.
Now you're making, John,
Throw firm, try and roll this to back four.
McEwen look at 3 playing this. This is the tougher route to get to the 4-foot, obviously. Do you ever think about throwing the draw? Maybe not that one that you're guessing around the outside, but even trying to tuck half a piece top 4 behind your own.
I mean, I think that is a great call, but being up 2-0 right now, and you happen to put that in the exact wrong spot, which is pretty close to the right spot, and all of a sudden a deuce opens up, whereas playing this shot, you can still get, a good chunk of the 4-foot, but the score of 2 is never there for Team McEwen. So I think this is the smart call. Late in the game, if it was closer, you might see a draw being called here, but.
Straight, Carl! Straight, Carl! Whoa, easy. Good shot.
A really nice roll there by Dunstone. That's a perfect spot. Couldn't do it better.
Very good.
So now McEwen will have to draw against 3 on his last.
And this is the same side of the sheet, the exact track that he threw his draw to the button on. And
14-1, Donnie.
I think you can sometimes have a lot of confidence to throw this draw, but
The button.
yeah.
I think if you throw like 14 1/4, probably. Yeah, I think if you throw the same as your intern in the first end, really close. Yeah.
Have we seen
Not
a draw
quite
come
as
this way,
fast
though,
as
this
draw
end
button.
so far?
No,
Yeah, we had a
it's
couple
definitely
early in the
down
end, I
much
suppose,
higher.
by Dunstone. So this track should be good, just like these guys talked through it in the hack. And
A tester early for Mike McEwen. Needs to get full 4-foot against 3.
Flash, I think that's running hot.
Hasn't started turning yet. Mike a little concerned on that. Flash is not.
Yep. Right.
Curling now. Line looks just fine.
We're there. You're fine. Okay, starting to really curl. There, though. That's good. Yep.
That's really well done by McEwen. So secures his signal right to the button. Cuts the deficit in half. 2-1. Dunstone leads after 2.
Long day, a job well done, and the final work call. Where your place? Come as you are and fit in comfortably. Mr. Mike's. Eat locally, enjoy casual.
McEwen secures the single. His final shot in the second end, drawing against 3. Now trailing 2-1 after 2 ends of play to Matt Dunstone in our feature matchup with the Co-op Canadian Open. McEwen going to set up center guard, starting off the third end. Dunstone has the broom down for the come-around draw before that rock even stops. And John, a little switch of gears. Maybe Dunstone took our thoughts to heart from pushing the action a little bit more. Obviously, drawing around the center isn't an aggressive play, but consistently over the course of this tournament, we saw him throw to the open side in this situation, either tied or with the lead when they had hammer.
yeah, it's sometimes you reevaluate. I mean, that's a strategy that honestly Corey Dropkin used back in 2022 to a ton of success. That was when you could tick the center guard, of course, but and I would say it wasn't necessarily failing. They had a very game they probably should have beat the #1 ranked team in the world playing that strategy, but obviously in this particular game they're taking the more route we see more these days. And if Ryan Harnden keeps on placing him like he's placed him in the first 3 ends, I would not shy away from it.
And that does factor in, too, when your lead is feeling it, and Ryan's made a couple good ones early. I think he's at a hundo so far. This one over curls here from Dan Marsh. Getting the better of the play right now, I think, at the front end, too, for Team Dunstone.
Yeah, the last 2 ends for sure.
Because you can double peel those and draw this.
That's where I think you got a guy like Colton Lott playing second on this team, and his mixed doubles stuff he's came into, and a super high level player, in his younger years with Dunstone as well, and his ability to make those you know, freezes when you need to make freezes and little gentle taps that he does in mixed doubles and so comfortable throwing, I think makes him an extremely dangerous second. I don't know if he quite gets the accolades that he deserves since coming on to Team Dunstone. He's really a pain in the butt to play against. Well, there's your draw open side here, Ty, but it just took to Ryan Harnden's second rock.
Yeah, with where the rocks are set up, I think they wanted to congest the middle, and it could have been a bail already from Mike if they put 2 under the center. So now Mike has to decide
Your
if.
guards are in a bad spot right now. You
Yeah.
can kind of come right through them. I'm debating this, actually. Yeah. Like, normal? Just yelling control or normal? No.
Well, I do think, Ty, we do have the two skips who are the most animated with their brooms when calling shots playing this game.
That's fair. They're on the list, no question. Two pretty animated guys overall. Had Mike up in the booth earlier. I'd really enjoyed him and having his insight about his team and his season, and obviously very knowledgeable about the game.
Don't think they
It's
like
right in
the result
between.
of this one. I think another one of those instances, Ty, where Rock did something curl-wise early and expected it to go and just kind of caught a line and ran, and that's exactly what Mike said happened there. So Dunstone drawn around to lie 3 here.
That's the most dangerous sweep in curling, especially when you have horses like they do out here, that you hammer that early, all of a sudden it's gone. Tough to bring it back. Dunstone in total control right now. Trying to throw the intern draw around the wide corner guard.
Just got room. T-line. Like it to curl. Really running.
I think they'd like this to curl in to sit.
Deep just go. Deep just go. Yep. Keep
They're going as deep as they can to try to not leave a triple. Shouldn't be any problem there, unless it's a run triple.
This. It's either the freeze or the double. I like the freeze.
Seems risky here to throw the freeze, but this day and age with your ability to go down and kind of hand place rocks on freezes really is the safer shot here, which kind of sometimes seems head scratching, but you make a good freeze and all of a sudden the other team has to make a few moves and you might get a chance to not be able to let those rocks outside of the 8-foot count as points by making a good freeze here. So
Really gotta go.
It's got to go for weight and for line here.
Line's great. Line's great. Come on, keep going, Flash, keep going, buddy.
And Flash and
Keep going.
Dan Marsh get it there. Gets the third count at least. Carried that
tricky
one
rock
long
to remove
ways.
here.
Yeah, like that. Probably like a little. Can you throw an 11-5?
And John, this is something we've seen, I think, even early in this season more than I can remember in years past, is these getting 2-for-1s on shots, whether you're playing a run back. The one we see the most is the run on the corner guard into a rock in the house, but trying to roll to a center at the same time as opposed to just throwing big peel weight. Now this one again, trying to play this softer over the top and roll over.
Yeah, and I think, you know, probably in the, well, let's call it the tick shot era, the last like 6 or 8 years has given people a lot of confidence to figure out how to broom these and to make them playing them soft and get extra something. I mean, yeah, you get to both peel the rock out of there and put another rock in the house. And yeah, it's a shot we definitely play a lot more than we used to, for sure.
And just when we talked it up, they switched to playing a straight peel anyways. You'd be surprised how much power we have over what they do with those calls. Almost gets lucky after getting unlucky. Loses their own.
We had that happen 3 or 4 times this week where people were just straight up peeling rocks and jamming them on rocks in the house. Kind of odd, but the center lines here have also been kind of a tricky proposition. You know, we have, when guys are throwing them completely clean, they seem like they're really easy, but you have any kind of like set to the rock or hook to the rock, and the center lines are already unforgiving this week.
Across, sorry. Out turn.
Thought we might get a glance up to the booth there from the players as they weren't sure if that Yellowstone hit the boards, which it did not.
Good.
Now Matt does look up.
Girl. 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 It's all right, Flash. It's a good toss. Yeah.
Might be the first time I've seen Matt smile out there in a while, too, looking up here. As we're trying to signal that that rock did not touch the boards and that they were good. I don't know if Matt knew, but did get a little smile from the sheriff. You enjoy that he's called the sheriff on his Wikipedia page now, too. For those of us that have been doing research on the teams. BJ trying to make the double here. Just
does,
touches
but rolls
the back.
out.
So control over the end. Almost completely gone now for Team Dunstone. And that is buried.
Zip this. Yeah, we can get out of this by making this go. I like this. Force, you do this. Yeah, I'm good with either. Whatever you're feeling, Mike.
I like the freeze here, John. Just, I mean, you don't have to make it perfect to set up the force. And if you don't make that run, probably giving up 2 as they split the house immediately.
You know, the only thing for me here is do we know the right ice to make this? And if you don't make it, all of a sudden, that's where 3 actually pops its head back in there too. So this is one of those, like, with how far out there it is and guessing on the line, I might have leaned in toward playing the double here.
I think they're also looking at scoreboard too, where you miss the run, you give up 2, down 4-1, you don't feel real good about your chances.
Looks like to me.
Yeah, and I mean, that one is your best case scenario is blank, worst case is deuce, whereas this one is best case scenario is force and worst case scenario might be deuce. So, and you know what? Mike knew the line well enough to make that, so now I might see Dunny making the run.
Really good shot there from Colton Flash.
Get out of here with a blank.
And well managed by the sweepers too, reading that track, as they probably have seen it as of yet. Saw Dunstone play the inside-out draw around to that spot earlier in the end, so Mike might have went to school on Matt's intern draw, I'll call.
No, I suppose. That is how that rock got there, isn't it?
Both go. Well done by BJ. It's a little upset that that rock actually stuck around. Even though it's not on the paint, if you're wondering why they're not pleased with that, that's a catcher. They do draw underneath the corner.
I think he's drawing open side here, though.
I don't love going around now to make the roll, but I actually wouldn't mind, to be honest, guys. Yeah. You put this, like, do you actually put this tee or do you put it actually deep? I thought you can go here and then you can make a roll. Wow, that's even, yeah. Like that.
The question is, do you really mind that much if you get forced in this spot? You have a chance to get a soft 2 on Skip's last 2. And it's not a terrible result if you end up getting forced. So that's why Mike is saying, do we even just go deep and call them out, see if they want to draw down to it? They are now throwing behind the tee line. So I don't know if it's a right or wrong, John, as much as just, are we okay with taking 1 if we do get forced? And
well, this is Dunstone does have the hammer here, so this is Mike going after forcing.
Well, there's
so,
that too. That's a minor detail. So yeah, playing into the force, exactly what I was saying.
Yeah, but this is, you know, like going under here is taking the risk that maybe they make a perfect shot and force you to make a perfect shot to get the force. So it's
so open side then. Really carving this to try to finish. It's up in a good spot.
And
but now the freeze is probably.
I think Dunny's playing the straight run stick here.
I just thought because they'd just seen it and thrown it too that they might take a go at it, but it is a short run.
Well, yeah, BJ just also threw this freeze, so they kind of have both that they've seen. So, and this one, this is where you have that risk return is you dead stuff this thing under the guard. Now deuce is in play and you happen to hit and roll out, you're still probably getting a good crack at blank. blank in here, so. But the reason Mike went in there is if Dunny doesn't make contact here, it's about as textbook easy of a force as you can possibly get. So I think down 2-1, Mike probably made that choice. That worth it. If make Matt make something here, and pretty small area for him to stick this rock where it's not going to be either a blank or a force. So
made the out-turn slash in the first on a similar line, different weight. Don't have to take ice into play on this one, just throw it hard. It's the run, but rolls off, so no question here for McEwen as he called to try to get the force again.
T, even like fully buried, yeah. Yeah. T back, T. Yeah, yeah. Scoot over a little bit, so I've got to touch more ice. Okay, good.
Been trying to just get to a reset here, where get the force and then get hammered down 2. Really didn't have much chance for their deuce in the second. Like to flip the script and get control of the action in the fourth. First needs to make this and bury underneath.
Yep, and that guard did move by a full rock, so you see Mike taking about 8 inches more ice here. So
it'll take a little bit longer to start its curl, starting on the opposite side of the center line.
T line. Come on, yep, got to curl a bit then. T. Curl. T. Curl and go. Curl and go. Curl and go. Come on, get it, Barry boys. Go, Flash, go. You got it. Come on.
That's very easy.
Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Something felt weird under that. Okay. It felt like grindy. Okay.
Just enough separation that Dunstone doesn't feel comfortable trying the blank with the run. DJ is taking a look at it, though. I think the draw is the correct shot with the 1-point lead. Don't give him a cheap one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just that little bit stiffer stuff.
A tiny bit surprised he's throwing the in-turn as opposed to the out-turn here, as the out-turn's been played a bunch more, and this is, as you heard Matt say, a little bit of the stiffer side, but this is his side he threw draw button on, so. It's interesting how when you have that in these slam games where you have one side that you draw on to start the game and the other has the other, and that you see teams tend to lean on that side almost the entire game sometimes, which is one of those interesting things here in slams.
Sweepers going on this one, final stone. Third ends, just needs to get to half of the 8-foot. Still really hammering this. That's going to come up short. And came off that same path where it banked hard down and stops top 12. So McEwen does get the cheap steal. Now tied up 2-2 after 3 ends of play.
I've stood at the pinnacle of curling and battled in the most intense games.
Out on the ice, there's no room for compromise.
And when the pressure's on, every millimeter counts.
It's not just a game.
It's about maximizing performance,
Pushing limits.
Seizing victory.
When victory hangs in the balance,
I know what I'm relying on.
it's a gold line.
it's a gold line.
It's a gold line.
And it's the choice of champions.
And that did not look like a steal, turns into one. McEwen getting the steal to tie things up 2-2. At Dunstone. Tyler George here with John Schuster. John, both of us said during the break that path, we've seen that exact shot missed that way numerous times. And on this sheet, too, we saw that yesterday for the 4 p.m. game, that you just get inside that edge of 8 track by just a couple inches and turns over hard, and that crossed the center line and stopped at the top of the 12-foot.
Yeah, and that's one of those things where when we're out there playing, you know, and I was actually surprised that the team didn't have the discussion, be like, you know, at the beginning of this end when we were throwing the draws, like, let's take the out-turn path here, because there was nothing in their way either way, right? And they just chose to take that in-turn path. And And yeah, and that's exactly it. You kind of get outside that edge of the 8 foot and they run down the sheet better, and you get inside and it takes that early curl, and it can take, 5 feet off a rock, which seems insane because it curls, 6 inches more than it would have if it was out middle 12. But for some reason this week they seem to just be completely peeling off sometimes when you get on that just inside the edge of the 8 foot track.
Another perfect draw from Ryan Harden, really on his game in this morning draw. We are in the tiebreaker round once again. Winner of this game will move on, I believe, to face Bruce Mowat as the number 8 seed. Bruce is undefeated, number 1.
Yeah, that's not something anybody's really looking forward to this day in this year in the slams, because no one's been able to figure out that puzzle yet.
Bruce and his squad, the hottest team in the world. Easy to say that for the number 1 ranked team year to date and in world rankings. Bruce's team has got it rolling right now. So it will be a tall task for whoever wins this game. Big points at stake.
Top 12.
A little more money as well getting into the quarters.
Okay, line's good. You got room?
We can wait.
Room. Definitely cannot bounce on this line.
It's bouncing.
Top 4. Colt.
Looks like it's going right around the yellow and maybe just bumping off of their own red.
Need to bounce this.
And a chink in Ryan Harden's armor.
Yeah, that's the broadcast jinx again.
I think one Ben Tucker would be proud of that.
Yeah, we've had a few of them this week, and it was fine. We were just saying he's playing well. But once you threw the number out there, that 100 number.
Should have been, right? When the other option is... No, I don't like
That was one of those interesting communications down the sheet where the guy said it's bouncing, Matt said it can't bounce. And then they're like, all right, and they tried to then sweep it by the bounce on the yellow, which they were able to, and then they got in there and be like, well, we got to bounce it. Fun curling conversations.
The constant communication, though, and that's another curling 101 thing where make an early call the best you can, but make adjustments as you go.
Yeah, the ability to audible on the way down the sheet is one of the things that I don't know that... I think that's the thing that separates the highest level of curling out there with just really good curling is the ability when a rock's not thrown perfect to, make that audible on the way down the sheet based on the information you have, right?
There's another thing we've seen consistently throughout the week is that rock looking like it's going out of the house and just getting the outside 12s and fudging and stopping. That's when we usually see fly out in these major events. So that's been something the players have said consistently throughout the week, that the houses, in particular the outside 12s, have really just been kind of dead.
Yeah, it's interesting because the rocks are crazy bouncy on peels. Like you'll see those go flying out easy. But
those are going flying out easy for Colton Lott. All 3 leave the premises, and that weapon at the second position get out of trouble once again and went from chasing to trading hits, likely playing into a blank type end, but there is still center guard in play. Great shot from Colton Lott.
Yeah, definitely a control your shooter end happening here, but it sounds like they got to go to make contact maybe even.
Good. Okay.
Made contact. And
it's a little fresh out there, definitely, yeah.
And Matty, with it being his center guard out there, elects to go around it. Even end probably plays a little something into that.
Yeah, that, and I think what we talked about earlier too, John, with just reevaluating what puts your team in their best spot and playing a little bit too defensive. I think even 2 days ago they probably would have peeled that guard, and they're getting, I think from what we've seen in this game, better results with dictating the action by playing a little bit more aggressive. So I always like this call anyways.
Yeah, me too.
But
I really,
I think, yeah, no surprise there. We're always on the same page with that. But for Matt right now, I really like it too. Continue to try to control the game, play to score. And I think teams sometimes forget that getting forced isn't bad. You're still scoring in a slam game against one of the top teams in the world, where points are going to be at a premium anyway. So if you have the chance to try to score 2 or more, take it. And your worst case scenario, if it's scoring 1, so what? You still get a point and you're ahead.
Yeah, the only thing about leaving that center guard there is your score of 1 potentially could end up being much more difficult if somehow McEwen can get a rock buried under that thing and have a chunk of the button or something. But
Yeah, keep the weight going. Keep the weight going. Keep the weight going.
and I think exactly what you were saying before about how hard these are to hit out of the house. You hear Mike saying something like keep the weight going, and I don't know what's going on with, and it's not just here at the Slams. We saw that last year at our national championships. We saw last year at the Worlds, where you really got to either hit a rock square with 12.5, or if you don't hit it on the nose, you have to throw at least, a 12-second or an 11 or a board waiter to hit them out at an angle, which is kind of something that's changed in the last couple of years. I don't know what it is.
It's not the striking bands by any means. The rocks are still plenty live, so it's something with the houses themselves that.
Yeah, the ice surface for sure.
Yeah. That's above my pay grade. I got nothing there.
10-7.
So likely trading hits out here for both teams that dig on the previous shot on the come around draw. Great result.
We'll see one of these teams is going to make a play at trying to make this roll into the center. And I think it's just one rock too deep for that to be this shot here from Colton. But
Weight's good. Forward. Lead. Forward.
Flash is second here in the fourth end. Just looking to nose.
Based on the verbiage, I'd say he accomplished that.
Good weight. Good pair.
Now Dunstone thinking they're going to roll underneath now. They think it's high enough to have a go at it.
Nice weight.
This is one where you're probably playing board to control. This is looking closer to control.
Must be close.
Oh, really good from BJ. Can't do it better than that. And John, the weight control there too. Soft enough that you can control it with the sweep, but still enough weight that it's a flat roll, or flatter than if you threw board or hack, so that it stays above the tee line. Can't manage it any better than that.
No, it's pretty textbook there. And as you can see from this shot, that thing is gone. To make a perfect 3-foot roll is a really underappreciated thing, I think.
Yeah, that is one of the toughest elementary shots, if there is such a thing in curling, where it's just an open shot hitting one stone. But placing that roll directly underneath the guard, I mean, that's as good as it gets from BJ. And let's also say too that I think you make more of those shots, and it doesn't sound like it's real in-depth analysis here, but when you're throwing more draws and finesse shots, you're going to make more of them. So they're playing a more aggressive style where maybe you're not attacking as much as just try to score your 2s and 3s. You're more comfortable with putting the broom down for shots like that and throwing them when you're seeing more.
Like it's not.
No, absolutely. And I think,
Got a curl. It's got a curl.
like even teams' commitment to throwing those softer than maybe they used to be, back in the day. I'd say, even 10 years ago where, we got to make this long roll. It's this rock we want to throw normal at. But, man, that seems pretty innocent that rock just barely skimmed off here. But same deal. Like, they're comfortable throwing these down waiter things, and see Matt throw a little hack waiter and get that roll in there, and all of a sudden, I mean, 3's in play, right?
Absolutely 3 is in play. Just hack and roll it at half a foot to a foot, get underneath. All of a sudden, this is going to get a little dicey for McEwen. Huge shot, though. If this is on the nose, then Mike has his out and can lose both. Really need to get aggressive at this one to try to get this roll. One of those in-between tracks again, too, where you're right around edge of 4, and we've seen these jump, and the miss, the vast majority of the time, is narrow.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. I'm like, I'm not sure, but it's exactly what I was thinking here. But This is where you have to make sure you trust your broom and throw it positively out to it, because you can definitely carve this thing in here, but if you get a little bit tight, almost no.
Expect to see a broom down early here from Watt. Now they said heavy right out of the gates, though. It's not going to be a narrow miss this time. Can Harnden turn it over enough to get the roll?
Got to trust that broom, Tyler.
That's just what you said, John. Throw it into the carve and let them turn it over. Really well done. They would have liked to, I mean, if we're going to really be perfectionists on it, if it rolls 3-4 inches less, much tougher to lose both. And now it's a nose run for McEwen, or close to it, to try to lose all three.
This will be straight. This will be straight,
Big shot here from Mike. Staring down the barrel of a 3 if this isn't made. Mike McEwen, out-turn run back. Trying to lose all 3 reds. Sweepers on it immediately.
Yeah, it never got out to the line. You need to throw that on, and up jumps the devil.
And out of nowhere, at Dunstone, has to hit the paint for 3. You always know something went horribly awry when opposing skip is throwing a draw to the rings with no guards in play for a 3. John, as tends to happen up here, as you're seeing more and more, as soon as you think you know what's going on, I think the trade hits and probably a blank. Somebody play for the roll. That roll by B.J. Neufeld completely changed the end.
Yeah, and it all started with, you know, when Matt decided to come around that center guard that we talked about. That's
we
why
hate
you
to
do
be
it.
right. We hate to be right, you know.
That's why you do it. One half shot and one miss, albeit being a run back.
And it's putting pressure on your opponent too. You're the one dictating the action, trying to score, and those misses will happen. And when you're coming around cards and getting rocks in the house, all of a sudden those misses turn into 3s when you're the one that's being the aggressor. That's exactly what we have here. Dunstone draws the 4s for point number 3. They go up 5-2 at the break.
When you've conquered another game, a long day, a job well done, and the final work call, we're your place. Come as you are and fit in comfortably. Mr. Mike's. Eat locally, enjoy casual.
I've stood at the pinnacle of curling and battled in the most intense games.
Out on the ice, there's no room for compromise.
And when the pressure's on, every millimeter counts.
It's not just a game.
It's about maximizing performance,
Pushing limits.
Seizing victory.
When victory hangs in the balance,
I know what I'm relying on.
It's a gold line. It's a gold line. It's a gold line.
And it's the choice of champions.
When you've conquered another game, a long day, a job well done, and the final work call. Eat locally, enjoy casual.
When it comes to the game we love, having the right gear makes all the difference.
Gold Line's new curling shoes and brooms are a game changer.
The shoes, unbelievably comfortable. And the brooms, lightweight and effective, giving you control on every sweep.
When I step onto the ice, I'm not just prepared, I look sharp.
Have you seen these shoes? They are a game changer.
And the brooms? Light as a feather.
It's a Gold Line.
It's a Gold Line.
It's a gold line.
And it's the choice.
Yeah. Stack 2 and cap. Yeah. Okay, boys. Oh, yeah. I like it in case we have to throw it later.
Back for the second half of action here in our feature matchup. Co-op Canadian Open, the Grand Slam of Curling from Nisku, Alberta, Silent Ice Center. At Dunstone with a 3, pretty much out of nowhere. And their final 3 stones. Now leading Mike McEwen, 5-2. Playing the 5th end, McEwen with hammer. Winner will advance to the quarterfinals. Loser is eliminated from the tournament. Tyler George here with John Schuster. And for those watching right now, if we seem a little distracted, my esteemed colleague John Cullen's wife left some chocolate chip cookies under the desk we were just alerted to. And my goodness, I think we need to get these in the booth more often. John, you might be replaced with your wife if she's going to bring them more often too. Yeah, these are something. There's the picture-in-picture. Here's the cookies. We're doing something taboo now too. I'm taking a bite right on the air.
I'm more professional than that, Tyler. I'm going to wait till the next break.
I don't have that qualm.
You know what? These rank right up there with 2 of my favorite curling cookie makers, Mary Broman and Lynette Monkberg. John Cullen, we're adding your wife to the list.
Yeah, we might have to do a cookie power rankings at some point, but all of you are winners in our book because you keep giving us cookies.
I think we got 1A, 1B, and 1C.
Oof. Those are fantastic.
I'd be remiss to say that my mom's aren't somewhere right in that, but they might be somebody else's recipe. So.
Hard hold. Gotta go. Gotta go.
John, I hope you didn't just call your mom out for using somebody else's recipe on the air.
Well, it's Lynette's recipe because she loved him so much.
Okay, well, that's fine. All right. So corner guard up. High one for Team McEwen, so they're going to stack 2 on that side. 2 counters in already for Dunstone from old Pete, Ryan Harnden.
I'm always interested to see how these ends play out where, you get a corner guard and a team trying to cut, cap off the way to draw around it. And
I don't want to rock. Clean it. Do we need to? Yes, yes.
And this is a, John, conversation we've had with every guest commentator that has gone into the booth, talking about the positioning of corner guards with 5-rock rule and what teams prefer. Now, obviously, a lot of it has to do with where the first one ends up, but all things being equal, if you're going to make the shot perfectly for your team now, and we've gotten different answers from almost everybody, you prefer going with the same side corners or opposite side corners in a close game, let's say when you're just playing an even-up game?
The one thing we find that, with going with goalposts, opposite side corners, is you almost never get a chance to use them both. So the ability to protect and go and stack them on one side and protect the second one, where if you get a rock under there, now you get to maybe use it twice, kind of seems to be the preference for us and a lot of teams these days, because I think people have found that when you actually have this double staggered corner, that you get a better chance to use it. Whereas sometimes that other one just sits out there and seems like a wasted rock the whole end.
And the other rationale we've heard too is you have a draw path no matter what as well.
For sure, especially when you start with a high one, you almost your lead leaves you with no choice if it ends up being as high as that one up there. That you throw onto the other side, and that one's almost unusable because anything can be dug under there pretty easily.
There's been different answers all around too. It's been almost.
Mine has been the best one, though,
50-50. Best explained, sure, yeah. But there's no right or wrong when it comes to how you approach it. It's what works best for your team. So wherever that second corner is going, it's usually whatever teams have decided this is what works best for us. There have been a lot of them that said opposite side is what they still prefer to do.
And, if we end up with a, guard, let's look at the co-op logo right there. That's somewhere in that height. And we really need to generate something, then a lot of times we'll throw to the opposite side. So a lot of it, for me, depends on the depth of the first corner that you throw.
That's the one thing that was uniform with everybody was, well, it depends on where the first one goes. Where is it? How deep is it? And that helps dictate where we throw the second one. Really nice tap there from Team McEwen. Devin Marsh chipping that to the open.
Yep, and pushing it over to that area around where those corner guards are. And I think Mike's goal for the whole end was to get play over there. And
rolls a little towards the center.
I think in order to get something in here, I'm wondering about making the double right now. What about hitting and rolling these ones?
Gotta get a little close to the guard to take that double on,
it's
too.
A shorter roll, but this is easy. And you're on it. Okay. You hit and roll, or you just this. Stuffing right onto it. Okay.
Yep, this is one of those either-or shots, and I don't know that I'm in either camp on this particular one. I think you get probably a little bit more out of here where Dunny he makes this double and stays frozen on it, then Dunstone gets to remove one of his stones for you as opposed to you having to do all the work yourself. So I think that's why I like this. And that you could push that thing back under those corners where, again, it'd be helpful for you. So.
Okay, control. Control about half the rock.
Playing control so they get a little more curl. Roll to the right spot on that other red. And John, another one where team's trying to accomplish a couple things with one shot. You could really accomplish three things with this one. Making the takeout, rolling over, rolling to a freeze, and pushing that back rock under the corner.
Normal weight here. Yep. Whoa. Yep. Should be good. Sit.
Spins up a little bit, but good shot.
Up in there.
And maybe consciously playing a little more aggressive too, looking at playing the guard. I actually kind of like that more right now, even though you are playing more aggressive. You're up 3.
Yeah, I think you can get a 2-for on this shot too. You know, I think.
Or do you like the guard?
I think I like the guard.
Okay.
Yeah, they are switching back to the guard.
Higher's probably better. Top of the logo.
Okay.
You know, that tight corner guard for Mike here might be the rock that gives them a chance at a 2 or a 3. And that's the only thing I don't love about the guard here, because, again, I think you could have almost accomplished 2-for-1 by throwing the peel at that frozen pair and probably rolled under the center and got rid of the yellow. But see how it plays out, I guess.
Line's good.
Intern guard, DJ Neufeld. Expect the speed to come off of this considerably as it crosses center.
Never needs to curl. Never needs to curl.
Line's good.
Shot.
Stops in a good spot. See Mike eyeballing that short corner already, but
I think the nose run on this one's pretty good, though, because especially if Matt wasn't sure who was second anyways, if you advance it in there, it's now you're buried under the corner.
What are you hitting it on to? Either one.
Right
I
there,
think the
yeah.
back one's better.
No.
I agree. I gotta hit it as thick as I can, basically. Are we wide enough where there's some curl? I think so. Yeah, I think so too. And you don't have to.
so that's interesting too. It seems counterintuitive from what you normally would see with a curling sheet, that the farther out they go, the more they think this is going to curl with this shot.
I threw a couple wide.
Yeah, we kind of found that this one was sometimes less, but with board, though, I think it's maybe a little more apt to curl as opposed to if you threw something hard down here.
Marsh trying to hold the line. Gets by the guard and
dead nosed it.
Somehow
tickled
actually
it into lie two. That's.
Throw.
I don't think they thought they could hit it too thick. Said we have to hit what we can see.
He's playing that again.
Hit what we can. So that's even less than what they can see.
I would have been very tempted to run that guard they just threw out there straight back in there. I just.
Like right now, he could fly that.
We have commentary from the sheriff now as well. He's got his mic going at the break.
Is that easier on you? I think I like that.
It also takes away this runner too.
Exactly. Think just a pound less weight.
I think we're going to see a gear switch from Mr. McEwen here.
I don't know
I'm
that
betting
term.
that Colton is going to be. Well, I'm just saying he was.
No,
kinda,
his. I said a pound less weight.
Yeah.
Less.
Pound. What is that in distance or in sweeps? What are they referring to?
Gosh, deep thought for a Saturday morning.
Well, I'm trying to figure out how much. What are they changing? A pound less weight. Ooh. Triple over there from Alina Pats. Some brooms went up in the air.
Well, a pound is a 42nd of a rock, and if a curling shoe's maybe it's 3 feet. I'm just trying to do some math. I don't know.
That's a new one on me.
Whoa. Clean. Yep. Whoa. Clean. Yep. Gotta go.
And they've taken both of those away, and
Pretty good.
I'm guessing we're going to see an in-turn draw here by Mr.
You're
Flash.
still setting high one in.
Huh? Maybe not.
Yes. Yeah.
We're really trying to make this yellow count. The top of the 8 foot.
We just saw that one come through there.
Yeah, running this high yellow, is that what they're talking about here, Ty?
Yes, so. It's a really tough shot to be playing 3 shots left in the end still.
Well, sometimes you get down 3 and you feel like you're handcuffed, but I mean that's one of those things in curling where, they went so hard right here after 2 or 3 that this is where games can kind of get sometimes out of your control if you don't make these shots. Still curling.
Yeah, it's
double run.
It's
Double
such
run.
It's such a low percentage shot to try too. And John, you mentioned the draw right away. If you lob the in-turn draw to the top of the 4 foot on that line, it's a really dicey run.
Yeah,
for your
there's
opponent,
a lot of danger there.
You can run it into the shot that they were trying to make themselves, run it into the yellow and possibly lose both reds. So
yeah, I think sometimes you can just as a skip, at times get stuck, right? Like you get stuck on something you're trying to do, and that might have been one of those scenarios. I would have liked to see him throw this shot that Matt's throwing now.
Yeah, and now Matt's taking that position instead too, so it's that much worse.
Because Matt was always going to have this. Even if he made that run, he's always going to have this in-turn draw to make your life difficult.
Yeah, if you get half in the 4 foot even on that line or a little bit deeper, it's a really good spot in that situation. So, it's, as you said, there's a lot of bad that can happen trying to clear that with a run. So now Dunstone back firm control this end with already sitting 2. Drawing now a 3rd around center guard and taking that draw path away from McEwen. So many times, John, these types of shots, that's every bit as important. Not just that you're making it, but now your opponent doesn't have it.
100%.
Ours is the best. I need to sit. Least back E. Go if it's back E.
Might get his out though, as this is deep.
Just here. Just here.
That's not going to help much at all. So now Mike will have the opportunity to throw there. Stop looking at those guards now, Mike. There you go.
And that opens the opportunity for 2 back up for McEwen here.
Top line. Right here. It's not as quick as the intern coming home. How's that, Axel? That's good.
And you're looking at the 2 options they had on that previous shot. You're talking a draw to the 4 foot or a 20-foot angle board weight run back with a spot, I'm holding up my fingers that the camera can't see, about that big on the rock that you could hit to make it.
I think at 20 feet, Ty, I think you even had the inch you had up there was too big. I think you're talking half-inch worth, right? Like, yeah, there's definitely, for this draw, or the draw he was throwing at the first, he had 2 feet of air and the ability to sweep it for 25 seconds as opposed to a half-inch of air and the ability to sweep it for 10 seconds. Like,
Line's good. Go heavy. Ball dead. A little hot. Close. Line's great. You're hot. Starting to move now. You're hot still. Yep. You're hot.
Really good line here for McEwen. Like this to stop.
Yep. Whoa.
Right about there. Nice shot from Mike. Boy, that would have been good a shot ago too, Mike.
Threw a little sauce on. Yeah, they saw that.
Ty, I think this is one of those where, like, yeah, if you're going to walk down and hand place it,
that's
be
where
about
you want it.
Put it, yeah.
No, because if
really good.
you hit it across the face, this might have a
clips that and it's 3. Yeah.
And now exactly again, what we're talking about, the danger that there is in running anything in.
My first thought was to do something like this.
Yep. That's the right
You know what? If Coach Brent Lang was here, he might have laid in front of the hack before he let him throw that shot. Got out there and told him to throw the draw, as coaches can call timeouts.
Oh, it's like juniors out here.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Theron, don't get any ideas.
This is really good.
You call a timeout.
What do you have on that split?
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Okay. Just need 20, 25.
Now I really want him to do it, too.
If he's not watching live, I guarantee he'll watch the replay.
Little less.
It's our coach this year, the last couple of years. Theron Michaelis is a student of the game. I think he's actually playing in some sort of qualifier right now, but I guarantee he'll be watching this broadcast before the next slam because he really likes to see all of this stuff and develop his game as well.
Hey, T-line.
Well, let's see if Matty went to school on his first one here, Ty.
This has got a much better draw path.
Curl all
Hasn't taken the turn as of yet.
You just bite the forefoot on this line.
You have to wonder how much his last shot in the third end comes into play here, too. And again, that one doesn't finish. So that track, again, has confused these players so much with Matt's last shot, third end, comes up short, crosses the center line. His first shot this end goes to the back of the 8-foot, so now he's guessing right in between. Ends up wide open, top 4, but I think Mike has to get to the inside to get his second point.
He definitely does. Thing is, like he said, anywhere low with Hack, I mean, he could come in here and have this rock touching center line when it makes contact, and as long as he doesn't hit his yellow, even if he hits his yellow first, he probably makes it. There's a big area to make the shot.
You know what? If he'd thrown it his previous shot, this might be for 3. Never know.
It's got to roll in the hair. Yeah, anything low.
Well, definitely would have brought 3 into play if you had similar results on these things.
We're trailing by 3, Mike McEwen. Hack weight hit, trying to get to the low side, roll in a little bit.
Clean. Good to easy hack. Easy
Needs this second point.
Easy.
Get back in this game.
Easy hack. Whoa. Yep. Easy hack.
Should take a turn right here. There it goes.
Really good. Hard. You gotta go. Keep going.
Just enough.
Yeah, anything that crosses and gets by.
He might have even hit yellow
hit
first.
The
on
yellow
that one.
first, I believe. Yeah. Does get the 2. So the score after 5 ends of play, Dunstone leads McEwen 5-4.
Voice of Champions.
When you've conquered another game, a long day, a job well done, and the final work call, Mr. Mike's. Eat locally, enjoy casual.
Skips deuce in the 5th end for Mike McEwen.
That is a skips with an apostrophe after the S.
Yeah, that was aided by the opponent as well. 5-4 now the score. McEwen only trailing by a single after that. 2-point end. We're going to see almost assuredly 2 center guards to start this end off for McEwen. As my co-commentator 2 days ago, Kerry Anderson, said, time to sell the farm. Got to go after it, boys.
Yeah, you know, you talk about kind of the 2 center guard thing, and I think since this no-tick rule is kind of evolving and people are playing with this more, and we've kind of even adopted this a little bit too, is if this rock is really, really good in the top 4-foot dead buried, it's actually more effective to go in there and freeze it and then throw the second center guard after, so you don't end up with the other opponent having 2 rocks stacked in there. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if you might call a freeze here, but you can also go with the second tight one.
I think if that rock was a foot deeper, they'd consider it more, but top 8, I don't think they're
Yeah,
real
you can get
concerned
around
about
that
it.
dead buried to the back of the 4 with the finish we're getting here this week.
So second center being thrown up by Dan Marsh. Love to line these up as good as they can. Good high guard on the first one. That's the one, John, one of our teammates, current one for you, former for me, really didn't like throwing at all. It was not the lead on the team.
Try and split it off.
You know, that is,
Straight draw.
it's interesting because now that he is playing lead, absolutely loves throwing.
Hey, I didn't say who it was. Could have been me.
Yeah,
I guess I did say our teammates. So that really cuts it
high
down,
guards
doesn't
for
it?
me are something that's always been very, very uncomfortable. So I can understand that being an uncomfortable shot for people, but
Well, it's out of play for all but basically 1 or 2 seconds of the shot. That's all the time you have with it in play. So yeah, it's the scariest shot in curling to throw of the regular simple shots. If you're throwing it to back 12 foot, then the sweepers are just carrying it farther in the field of play. But if you're throwing it to 2 feet over the hog line, it's hogged until the last possible second.
yep. You know, the no-tick rule is, it's changed our game for the 100% better. And this is one of those scenarios where we've actually even had where we've had a couple center guards up and for us, against us, whatever.
That chip!
And even just getting a rock kind of in a pile up here, and then you've seen some really good freezing in the top of the pile, and you can still get steals even without those guards at the end of the end. So, very important shot here by the second is to get this rock and get the field of play set up where you have that opportunity. And we'll see if Kevin Marsh is up to the task here.
A couple good ones again from Ryan Harnden. Starting off the end. Kevin trying to tap this back. Not too bad. Kind of in between the two results they wanted to see, either right next to each other with the tap or all the way to the back of the button back 4 foot. So right in between, but not too bad.
And it looks a little bit less than ideal because he tapped it, you know, probably a rock too deep if he didn't make contact with that other red. But that being said, at some point, Mike throws the draw around that to get half the rock buried at the same height as the red, and then that top yellow's stuck. So I definitely don't mind it.
It's pretty nice here. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I got stuck. I think it's good. One. Okay.
One is the call, looking for a high guard again.
1.5. Maybe curl? Yeah, I think so far.
I think he needs to finish up a little bit.
Curl. Curl. Try to bite center. Curl. 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 Good. Whoa. Good. Nice shot. Shot, Kev.
Well lined up again. Marsh brothers, no problem with those high guards. Rinse repeat here for Colton Lott, just clearing that high guard again. No need to take on the double peel with that much distance with how good they're lined up.
Think you got it. Big guard either, but yeah. Oh, you could.
This is one of those conversations, Ty, that I sometimes don't love when my teammates are down there saying one more guard. Tip in your hand, being like, yeah,
Right.
you know, I got a pair of kings in here.
You could say another one, but not
Exactly.
one more. Yeah, the cat and mouse game of trying to figure out who's going to go in first between either team. You're telling them exactly when you're going to switch gears. It definitely affects what your opponent does.
But at the same point, if you're hoping that they're not going to peel and you say one more.
Yeah, the
You play it
only
the other way
time to
too.
do it is, to say the opposite. Try to
This one needs
get in their head.
a bunch of curling to do here.
Keep going.
Yeah, he's getting enough finish out of this thing.
Keep going. Keep going.
A little deeper than previous one, but still pretty high. Good shot from
Take it
Colton.
straight peel.
Quick spin around the other sheets as BJ's peeling as well. Sheet B. Team Carey leads 3-2 on Team Laws, playing the 6th end. Laws with hammer. Caitlin at home. Believe just gave birth this week. Congratulations to Kate.
Absolutely. Congratulations.
I mean, if it's
She
just
curled
feathers,
so
this
long
is
into her
really
pregnancy.
nice.
And well.
Yeah.
She did, yes.
Doesn't need to, though.
I'm sure she's watching
I was
at home
wondering
as
if
well. Not our game,
tapping the
obviously,
guard's
but
better or not. No.
we do wish her the best, and congrats on the addition to the family. And over on sheet C, Sturmay and Anderson after a 2 in the 5th. The sponsors exemption. Sturmay now tied up 5-5 with Anderson.
I know what you mean. It's your
Yeah, they came bounce back from that 4 that they gave up in the second pretty well here.
And sheet D, Team Yoshimura, Team Tiranzoni tied at 2, playing the 6th low-scoring matchup.
Do you maybe just play this with a little bit of weight? Just roll over here.
Really, I like stop that there. Kind of good. That might be the best shot.
Well, I'm just force is good too.
This slash one. That might be the best shot. Flash. Does this leave?
He's got to stay shot on ours. It's gonna be fine.
Okay.
What's the call?
Okay.
Darn, is it a little too late just to tap that rock a foot, leave it cornered on it right in front of it?
Yeah, I mean, man,
You
you
got a
tap
really
that thing.
good setup,
You tap that thing dead onto the nose of that one on the top of the button, and anything that they'd use with their one on the side 4-foot, both reds leave. I think I
even
prefer
if
the
it
tap
hung
here.
and you tapped onto the other one, it still wouldn't be a bad result either with the angles.
Yeah, this you don't get exactly right, and maybe the red sticks around, and you line up a double, and all of a sudden 3. Like, granted, 3's in play if you play the tap on the center, but I just think this is a little.
This is really curling too. Not a lot of weight.
I was going to make the nose tap. Oh gosh, he touched the guard and hooked it.
Yeah, I don't like that shot as much too because steel is tough. Like they said, force is okay, but steel was still in the picture if you make that nose tap to a freeze, and you're kind of playing hard for that at this point anyways. So I mean, even if it's a little risky, you could get a few different good results playing the tap, and it's by far your best chance of being able to steal.
Yeah, I think, with that shot he just threw, there's, a small place to make the perfect shot, which still doesn't guarantee you forcing. Whereas the tap, you have, 3-4 feet of weight and almost the whole rock where no matter where they tap that, it was going to end up being better than it was. So I would have definitely leaned toward the tap in that scenario. Now, Dunny's just going to hit this one on the nose back here and really bring risk into play for McEwen here if he can stay. Which they are working it real hard to stay. And it stayed.
Very nice shot.
I don't know if I agree with the hit on that back one either, though. I mean, the other yellow has to go out to bring that into play,
and it's
not a danger rock.
And you'd have
at
to
all.
run the yellow from up there where your shooter doesn't count anyways, right?
And now you're allowing McEwen to play into the center without any other rock affecting that path. Anything else Dunstone threw in there is going to make Mike's path tougher. So really the hit on the back one didn't really have much bearing on this end at all. Even if that rock comes into play, and the difference between scoring 2 and scoring 3 in this situation is barely nothing.
And I just happened to glance at my screen over here, and Alina Pats just absolutely made a beautiful draw for, I believe it was for a second point over there on sheet D. So low scoring shots being made on these other sheets as well today, Ty.
And there's a 2. That's correct. Team Tiranzoni now leading 4-2 in 7th end for Yoshimura. Going to punch their ticket through to the quarterfinals. That's the beauty of slams too, John, is you qualify, you're in, you're waiting to see who you play, feel like we're in good shape, and we get the world champs, many times over. Get Tiranzoni. Great.
Yeah, here though, there's no soft game in the field anymore.
No down games whatsoever.
No.
Ewan playing the soft weight, short little run. Yellow to red. This is really narrow again. Flash trying to hold the line.
Come on, lead on it.
You got to buy.
Really good sweep there from Bolden. Great result, too.
Look at, they didn't sweep that rock out. Oh, no.
Very good. Sweet. I didn't set it very much. Yeah.
Remember when we didn't love it? Now all of a sudden it doesn't look that bad, does it, Ty?
Yeah, yeah, because Matt hit that back stone and allowed them to have the open look at this. So if Dunstone plays something to the center of the sheet, I don't even care what it is. You're not letting them play that shot.
Doesn't matter.
Yep, now Matt's playing the double of the guard, and they're one in the top 8 foot, and Mike's going to have to be ultra precise with his last shot to not give him a chance for 2 or 3 here.
Great sweep
Matt
there.
can make this, that is.
Great sweep by Flashed. Hold that line, keep that angle.
Sorry, I didn't see where you had it. Like here?
Yeah,
It's one of those ones that Colin says on our games once in a while, and that Flash probably has. Like, Flash could have got up and swept his own rock on the last one he threw. Maybe they would have got by there, too.
Dunstone playing the run to the top 8 stone, trying to lose both yellows. It's a good shot. Jams on the back.
And
really
BJ did say that that was the likely scenario there. So
good shot there, though. And really, John, you're looking for 2, if anything. I mean, score, you feel great. So they're not really concerned with making those in the back count.
Yeah, no.
Tie game, they might have been a little more upset about it.
Yep, all good.
So now it's all about where you leave the shooter on this shot, John. Where's your ideal spot?
Your ideal spot is where they have no interest in taking on the double.
Okay, where would that be in the house?
Well,
here, too?
I mean, so right now it looked like he was talking about crossing the face a little bit here, hitting that and getting his, back yellow going off in the corner where there's no double here. So basically, there's probably 2 places to hit this, and that's to just cross nose or to, if you were to go thin enough where the double is tough. But you definitely want to hit nose or cross nose on this particular one based on where the back rock is, I think.
The other would be to just be a sliver high so that it
lines up.
Double lines up to the back, yeah. But that's really precise. You have more margin for error playing at this
From this one, you got to get a tiny bit lucky sometimes on these. And that's not lucky, that's just good.
That's really good.
That's exactly where he needed to hit that, where he called to hit it. Well done.
Great weight control there from McEwen. Great call. Neufeld. That'll force Dunstone to just hit for 1.
$10-5.
10-5 the call from Matt, just playing control weight. This path should run very pure, too. I don't think this is going to snap up a lot. It's just far enough out.
Speed's good in here.
Shouldn't take a big snap, so they like this track.
Yeah, he may have to get just a shade inside a nose to score here, so.
Final stone, 6th end, Matt Dunstone. Control weight, hit, and maybe roll a couple inches to score their point.
Whoa. Clean.
Be careful not to hurt it early. Well done by Matt. That's perfect. Does secure the single. So Dunstone takes a 6-4 lead, carrying it on to the 7th end.
We've seen what they could do, and it was very impressive.
Moves the yellow. See the world's best at the Co-op Canadian Open, November 7th to 10th on Sportsnet.
That's why you're getting so much.
So they get the force for Team McEwen to get the hammer back in 7.
Line's good. Little room. You got room.
Trailing Matt Dunstone 6-4 with hammer in the 7th end.
Got room. Line's good.
Now the script is flipped, John. You hear Dunstone saying, let's go hard at getting the force ourselves. They're able to force McEwen to a single. Their percentage chances of winning the game are very high, but there's a lot of good results for Matt here. Really, only one you're trying to avoid considerably would be 3.
A bigger crooked number.
That's the big one.
I think a 1.5. Should be close, a little deeper than we want.
So acceptable outcomes, we talked about a lot in curling. For McEwen here, there's really only 2. That would be blank or 3. Even a 2, you have a pretty low percentage chance of winning the game still.
Yeah, it's not as low as it used to be. I think it's got to be up in the 20% range these days. So. I think we're definitely more open to a deuce being scored now than a few years back.
Yeah, we can. Like that's halfway. So I mean, like, we should have swept it on. Well, yeah. That's what he wanted.
And we can hear McEwen's guys down there talking about the height of that guard they just put up there, and they said, yeah, maybe we should have swept that, got in there tighter so we could throw a second one. But
Keep going. Good shot.
it's the beauty of having players mic'd even between. You can hear those really good conversations that are a lot of times had by the front end, which I am never get to hear when I'm skipping at the far end. I have no idea what my guys are talking about down there.
Yeah, they're just in their own little world, you know.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Staring off in the distance.
Clean. Line's good. Get it. Hey, almost fighting.
Trying to go to a tight corner now and stacking on the same side.
You gotta get it by. Hard.
Really going sideways and just feathers that other corner and doesn't quite bury. Mike a little frustrated with himself for not making sure that got by.
We heard the old Wayne Mada hard right there.
John, another one that we've brought up to all the guest commentators in the booth. It's happening in the 7th as opposed to the 8th, but where you throw the 5th stone with the 5-rock free guard zone rule. Don't have that cookie cutter 4 rocks in and then peel like crazy. So, where do you like setting up these first 3 stones? And for Team Dunstone, they've gone 1 in and 2 centers. And for your team in this situation, how do you guys usually map it out?
You know, I think it sometimes depends on how good that one is. Like the one you see of Ryan's that's sitting there biting the top 4 foot. It really is kind of a feel thing. I think up 2 in this scenario, maybe. I think I might have asked about playing a 1, and I think I might have had my boys on the other end being like, let's go down there and freeze it and get the play into the house, as opposed to now putting another guard out there that could potentially end up hurting you. But that being said, I think sometimes if you can get the team that's trailing having to chase, and like if they would have had to chase instead of hitting the 1 in the 4 foot there by hitting the guards, I think that you're happier about it. But that thing was lost in there, and he went and got it easy, right? And the angle to tap it is actually under the corners too, but tough to get there with where those guards are to go under those corners. So.
Easy. Clean. Curl. Clean.
Open hit here for Colton Lott.
Little roll, and they're going to be feeling pretty good about themselves.
Very nice.
Good luck.
Mostly buried, and just a little bit peeking out isn't necessarily a bad thing on that shot. That's very well done by Colton.
You know, the only thing about peeking out a tiny bit here is with the finish that we're kind of seeing here, which it's not peeking out on the top one, right? It's peeking out on the tight one. So, yeah, I think that's a pretty good spot to roll, too. But it's wild throwing back line at a rock that's, you know, about 1/3 over buried like that here is, it's not impossible to go under a high guard like this and get a really big chunk of this rock and stay in the house and remove it from the 4 foot. So seeing him try a second attempt at that, and look at this is going to stay. It's always the danger. And we got a catcher back there for the one that Dunstone's about to throw here too. So we got action, Ty.
A really good result there. Good position. Not much choice, but for Dunstone to chase now, and you're 12-5. So
it's wild to see this view in here. We should be able to get to know. It's pretty easy.
Yeah. Well, there's about 25 feet of difference. That's a little much.
Well, but then even the tight guard in that one, there's only 6 feet of difference, right? And it's half buried under that one. But that's this amazing ice that we get to play on, that you can make these shots and say easy.
Wait, hard. Whoa. Heavy. Heavy.
BJ Neufeld's had a solid game. Trying to dig this stone out from the top of the 8 foot.
He's trying to go over the top now, it looks like.
Nice call there by Dunstone. Just enough to get it through. And they do avoid the backing.
Very nice audible.
Good result for BJ.
Pretty nice for me down there. 14. Yeah, I know. It's still like.
Seeing how easy they've been to get to dig these ones, you realize how perfect this placement has to be, where Matt won't be able to go chase it again. This has to be dead buried, top 8 foot under the one on the center line, right? Like.
Line's good. You gotta go.
Because half buried wasn't enough for that last one.
Just 8 foot. Line's good. Little tight. Yep. Oh, line's good. Top 8. Line's good. Top 8.
A good line here. Flash trying to get to maybe bite 4, top 8. Starting to bury.
Yep, go, Kevin. Whoa, it's coming out.
Other side?
Yeah. Shoot.
Well.
Just slid a little better than.
Is it
You can nose it with the out.
What's that?
You can probably nose it with the out.
I think Mike was expecting that to glide as much at the end. These rocks have been pretty consistently digging in the slide path once they get these last couple feet, but
yeah, we had this happen to us yesterday. We had a chance at 3 to tie the game against Hostley, and looked like Chris's rock. We're like, yeah, we can always sweep this one, and all of a sudden, whoop, poked open by an 1/8 of a rock, and the game was over. Like one of those scenarios. I think that went curled an extra 3 inches from where they thought it was gonna at the, even 3 feet above the house.
Whoa, clean. Yep, good.
Switching sides now, out-turn dig. BJ Neufeld. Speed really coming off of this. Curling. Harnden trying to hold it.
Just enough. Very nicely done.
We've seen consistently throughout this game, too, for the very reason we talked about earlier, that skips / vices are having to jump to sweep these rocks to try to get them out. I think the reflex is, John, that with how hard it's hitting, they're expecting them just to go out easy. And you heard BJ yell down on that one, too. You got to sweep the back one. And Matt, almost surprised, went over to do it. And it did get out, but both teams have had that happen multiple times during this game.
Wait's good. Yep. Wait's good. Oh.
It's an interesting change here.
Yep.
Let's see if Flash can get the roll that Mike's asking for, and they're yes knowing it's got to be close, but now they're really going.
Just doesn't quite get there. A lot of frustration on that when they knew they had to get that buried on the roll. And you had some margin for error on the wide side rolling away too.
I didn't catch it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you just heard from Mike here. He didn't catch it, and I can't tell you how many times this week where a rock is off the rock and you're like, we're safe. And then, when it makes the break, you catch it and you make it, and it makes that little break, and you can't stop it with that hack weight here going toward the center line. I think it happened at least 4 or 5 times to us this week where I thought we were looking really good, and then all of a sudden hitting it way too thick.
Yeah, and we see that with slam ice more than anywhere else, that once it goes, it's gone. Not much you can do with it.
The jacket looks pretty good on Nicholas Edin over there.
Very colorful for Nick. Used to seeing nothing but yellow and blue for that squad, but
he's got some pink on it today.
Working double duty, triple duty with the broadcasting as well.
Busy man. Let's see if Dunny is up to the old task here. Of good news about where this rock is for him is this is a nice little hit and roll. This would be one that could maybe exercise some demons from his shot in the 8th end yesterday against Mowat, that in this exact same track got away from him, change that game. So
like a good clean throw there from Matt. good shot. And I like the weight call there, too. I mean, obviously, with the staggered port, you can't throw it too soft. But for Matt, that's a kill shot there, even if it rolls to an open spot. You just got to make sure that that rock goes. And you know if you make contact with that stone on that line, you can't give up more than 2. So your percentage chances of winning the game for Dunstone are extremely high, just making contact with that rock. So smart play, keep the weight up, don't take any chances with something finesse trying to get that perfect roll. Now you're in great position.
This is an interesting conversation here happening down there from the McEwen team. Is, you know, a lot of times, and they're going to call a timeout, but a lot of times here it looks like, okay, we can hit and make this perfect roll. We got a rock and a half to roll to, or it's covered and guarded. But the fact that it's been so easy to dig these rocks, they're now having this conversation about, do they need to try to roll all the way over? Do they throw the draw under here to the top 8 foot? Like, it looks like a textbook, like this is just a roll we have to make. And they don't know that they can play it because they don't think there's a spot they can roll to where Dunny can't just go dig it, even though it's a rock and a half wide area to roll into.
Do they ever think about taking on the triple to try to play the blank? Sure looks like they all go if you hit this right.
Yeah, I mean, your only gamble that you're doing with that triple is to leave Dunstone the chance to draw.
Yeah, he's going to draw pretty much automatically.
Same deal, the same thing we're talking about is there a place he can throw it that you can't dig it and stay?
Yeah. I think I like the triple here. I think it lines up really good.
It might be just a little too thick. Like, you're going to be catching the backside of that one on the side 12 foot, I think, because it's...
I think it's there. I mean, the one in the middle is just a sliver higher than the winger.
It's definitely close.
Yeah, there isn't really.
You ever don't get all 3 out there though. Now it's a for sure force.
Yeah, if you don't get the perfect roll here, it's same thing.
Same deal.
And I would rather have it that if you make this triple, you're going to have a chance to, well, probably not blank, but at least for 2.
Yeah.
Because Matt's wrapping around, you're digging it out to try to get 2 anyways because they're ignoring the winger. So you'd almost hope that you make the triple and it goes out, that your shooter goes out.
Right. And
so yeah, maybe this is the right shot then. 'Cause it's really precise to try to lose the shooter on the triple too. This is turning again on this line, trying to hold it for the roll.
Might be going big roll here at this point.
I think you probably have to.
Yep. You know what? There is a catcher back there. So. But I'm not sure. They didn't watch that red rock go, and it might have stayed in. Now he can just peel it out, catches red on the way by, and forces on. It's another one of those, Ty, where you're talking about sweeping the rocks out after they make contact, and Colton just kind of watched that thing and might have stayed in the house, and that might be the difference between...
Yeah, little things. Big difference.
Yeah, I think it's a nose.
And they've now changed their tone after Matt went down and looked at this from the hack, so... I think they're just throwing board and trying to nose this thing, as opposed to just peeling it off.
Could be either with that broom.
I think he's throwing.
I would throw
weight
at nose. I would throw weight at this and just try to drill it if I'm Matt.
If you throw control though and jam it, you're not rolling out. But there would be a double for Mike potentially. So.
Dunstone playing control weight. Gets a nose on this rock if you can. This looks to be at least normal, though.
Clean up! Clean! Clean! Curl! Whoa, whoa!
Yeah, that's really good. Nice shot by Dunstone. Sitting 3, forcing McEwen to have to draw half the 4 foot for their single.
Is that path that Mike's going to want to make sure he gets all the way out to it to keep that weight cruising down the sheet.
Final stone, 7th end, Mike McEwen. Oof. In-turn draw. Thought it was a little hot out of hand, but sweepers seem to like it. It's taking a little turn. Speed coming off of it.
Flash isn't panicking here, so my guess is it's pretty close.
Just a heavy right to the lid. That will be a single. McEwen cuts the lead to 6-5, going to the final end of regulation curling.
When you've conquered another game, a long day, a job well done, and the final enjoy casual.
Mission accomplished for Team Dunstone. They get their force in the 7th end, take hammer up 1. The final end of this feature tiebreaker matchup at Dunstone leading 6-5 over Mike McEwen. Tyler George with John Schuster, the booth, and John all defense all the time now. Team Dunstone at 1-point lead in hammer. It's all about keeping things as open as possible.
Yeah, I think we're going to see Ryan Harnden throwing a couple draws in here, and if he makes them somewhat successful, we're going to see probably a freeze on McEwen's, on Kevin Marsh's first, and then a lot of peeling would be my guess until we get into late in the third stones if this goes as expected.
13-6. Go ahead, Cole. It's going nuts. Hard, you gotta go. Really gotta go. Come on, Cole. Come on, Cole.
Stops a hair short of where they would have liked it. And even top 8 foot on the center line can serve as something to draw around for your opponent. Matt a little bit upset with, I don't know if it was sweepers or just that the rock carved over so hard at the end and hit the brakes, but would have liked another 1.5 foot maybe on that line.
Now you're stuck with the, do we try to go half around it and risk going all the way to the button, or freeze that thing? But he's going to try to get half around this thing, and with the finish we've been seeing with this intern, I think you could probably almost dead bury it and keep it above the tee line. So big shot here for Ryan Harnden.
Harnden's been so good all game. Near flawless.
You want to get just underneath this here.
Trying to get just a piece underneath the first rock he threw.
Line's great. Go ahead, it looks like. Hard.
Love to show 2/3.
Come on, Cole.
Yeah, that's a good spot there. It's just a hair behind it. Good shot from Harnden. Ryan did his job today, John. I think you could safely say they had the advantage at the lead position. Didn't have a bad game for Dan Marsh, but Ryan Harnden really very sharp all game long. Felt like they were controlling from lead stones on.
Yeah, I think that's, you know, 4th end on, sometimes a little unfair, because I think Dan Marsh probably played about as perfect as he could, but most of his shots end up being, you know, guards. So, but yeah, Ryan did a great job placing his, and that one from Kevin Marsh was definitely too heavy for what Mike was hoping for there. So
that's a lot of weight for that shot. Bowl's open, so nothing they're concerned about there. We do have one final. Team Tiranzoni punches their ticket to the quarterfinals. 6-2 victory. Once again, the team already qualified. I believe, well, we know Homan was in with the undefeated record, but number 2 team in the world. Now in the quarterfinals as well. Our other 2 matchups are tied up in the last end of play, with Carey having hammer over Laws and Anderson with hammer over Sturmey. Kevin Marsh trying to throw that high guard once again. Really want to line these up, John, and not leave a stagger so that the double peel is easier to make and roll the shooter off, but that's pretty much dead lined up. Dunstone will try to play the slash in, lose the rock in the 8-foot as well on the outturn side.
Yeah, this is one where you just got to make sure you're playing this on the safe side. If ever happened to just catch it on the inside and roll that thing to the button, you feel pretty foolish.
Gets over the top of the other red.
Almost did it.
Little fortunate
we almost
there.
talked it into existence again.
Oof.
You know what, though?
Yeah, we wield a heavy sword up here in the booth.
The one thing, though, and that did roll far enough away now that we can see this shot. I was going to say might have taken a little bit out of the draw line on the outturn side, but looked like it rolled just far enough where that draw stays open on both sides here.
That's something you'll have to contend with. There should be space, but makes it a little more precise on that outturn draw path.
A couple more good guards here from Colton Flash, and then I think we're going to see our action now that kind of lined up. You can't go all the way in there, I don't think yet. Oh, he is going all the way in there right away.
This is really early to play this shot.
Doesn't look bad. Yeah, you're gonna have to knife it. Curl. Line good. You gotta keep going. Keep going, Kev. It's gotta curl. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
I would have thought, John, the absolute earliest that you play that shot would be one more from now, and that's if you're trying to steal two. But generally, you see teams wait until skips first to play that shot. So a little surprising they're going to give Team Dunstone this many cracks.
The only time you'd maybe change that thought is if you think you got a better chance of, the third not making contact than the skip. But this is one of those bread and butter shots for BJ Neufeld, so I don't know that this is a... But he happens to not make contact here. He looks like a genius.
Just feathers it over. Very good result. Probably a half an inch from perfect, but does move that red stone off the center line, and that's key.
And it's to a very good place, too, for him.
Much better.
Useful, you could say.
Yeah, it makes the target of hitting that yellow rock very large now. But you got to forget about that if you're Team McEwen and place probably two more guards on the center line here, or maybe one, and then we'll see the freeze. I'm not sure.
You gotta curl that. Gotta curl it. Gotta go wait. Halfway. Okay, go, Volky, go. Gotta curl. Go, 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 go. Gotta curl. Gotta curl. Go, 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 go. Gotta curl. Go, 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 keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Go, go, go. Good sweep.
And just curled enough, I think, there. Or I think Maddie will ignore that. Rock in the 4-foot.
I like that he kind of asked BJ quick, too. Just you like the look of this. Really fast, and then immediately up for the peel. Peel, I believe, is the right shot, but every once in a while, the third's sitting in the hack and likes the look of that shot. Maybe they want to have a go at it, but are playing the peel, just opening up the front.
Right to it. Really gotta go.
Trying to miss the backstone, and does.
Well, as long as he doesn't dead stuff on the backstone, I think that probably is... we got a timeout coming from Team McEwen because...
Where is Coach Lang? Can't find him anywhere.
Well, won't. Not if you're perfect.
I think there's a Blake Shelton song about that.
Situation anyways. Probably still guarding no matter what. Yeah. Well, even if he just knows it. Yeah, it doesn't really. It doesn't change the situation. What are we doing next one? That's my question. Yeah, we should talk about that actually.
I'd be tempted to come down there and...
I think we're always guarding, are we not? Would you ever tap this to that? Or you not on my last?
No, you never want to tap that. Ty, this is one of those where... I actually like the dead nose freeze to just a 1/4 inch on the side of the red rock. And you are guaranteed you're going to have a rock in the full 4-foot when Matt goes to throws last.
Perfectly guarded, I think.
It depends on what you think Dunstone's going to do. If you throw the guard now and they peel, you can play that on your last. You're sitting two, and they can only get one out, or they have to draw the side of the button.
Yeah.
So I love the guard if Dunstone peels. But you have to make this guard good so that they don't have a chance to dig it out on this shot. So
yeah,
it's a tough one to throw in because, I mean, if your team Dunstone, too, you're really going to take a crack probably at running to lose that red so that freeze isn't there on the last one. So you could do it now
I think you might see him take it on at the yellow. Playing the double here, no matter what height this comes in. And if he thinks he can dig it out on the out-turn side. Actually, if he can dig it out either side, though, the game's over. So
yeah, this has got
to
be like
be 3 feet or tighter to the rings.
Yeah, bottom
and
side of the
dead
logo.
in front of it.
Keep it going here. Pretty high. Like really Keep it going.
This is not going to do what they need it to do. Way too high for that.
And wide open.
Yeah, that's not good. If you get that completely buried with a tight guard and make them think about playing that run, much different situation, but be an awfully tough steal now for Team McEwen.
It's interesting, you know, you have a giant area up there where a guard is, right? But like at this level, sometimes a guard placement is as important as if you were throwing a, you know, that dead freeze we were talking about prior to that shot. Is you really have to be exactly to one spot.
Yeah. And 11-5.
I think it's 12-5.
Yeah, I think Matt's right. Getting all the way to the nose, this thing is.
You don't agree?
I don't think you have to play with that at all. I don't think. I mean, if you're really feeling 12-5, like you thinking 12-5, like in here.
I threw that 11-5. Same path. 12-5. Petey can move it.
Yeah, I'm worried that this is not enough ice.
Okay, give me a more. A little bit more.
I mean, you can't hit this rock with 11-5. With the ice here, right?
Yeah. Kind of wait. 11-5. Okay.
It's a little safer weight call than the 12-5
like
with regard to killing the stone.
Yeah.
11-5 also, John, gives you a little margin for error with a possible redirect.
Speed will be all
with
right.
12-5 with hack weights, if you touch that other stone, you're not killing
it's not
the
leaving,
stone.
yeah. And the fact that Matt threw this with an 11-5 in the 6th end, I think gave him a little bit more confidence to throw it a little bit harder, and knowing that Ryan Harnden can indeed move this if they need him to move it. So
board weight shot. At Dunstone, just trying to get to nose at this yellow.
Yep. Little light. Yeah. Good weight.
Should be okay on this path. Don't expect a big snap. Maybe bruised it a little bit.
Hard, Pete!
All the way, Pete. All the way. That's good.
That's pretty good.
Mike's got one. Yeah, playing the roll. Okay. It's either that or you just go dead side by side. You can go dead side by side and get shot and have it not be easy for him.
Yeah, that's your spot.
Because that red that's over there on the left-hand side makes the thin hit on that red impossible.
And Dan was calling for that too, and Mike said he's never missing that. But I mean, if it's dead side by side, I guess he's saying he's never missing it with the out-turn dig. But whatever you're leaving is going to be something Dunstone has a good crack at, just because that guard is so high.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Room more.
You're just throwing like here, right?
Just, yeah.
Even like.
Mikey is.
Here's your really tricky one, John. Get real fancy.
Just threw weight.
Back house weight, cross it, tap it to the back eights. Shooter rolls to the opposite side of the guard.
So you have a
Shows
jammer.
half, so it plays into the jam.
Yep, if you're playing it on a strategy board, that would be what you'd do.
Final shot for McEwen. Needs to get shot rocked to have any chance of stealing.
Oh, you know, your curl coming.
Flash trying to get it to turn.
Moving to do. They got it too.
Does get the shot rock.
Just far enough to be shot, but.
I don't think the jam matters either, the red in the top of the 8-foot, unless the shooter clips it.
Left him with.
Yeah, he's playing too soft for that to come into play.
Heavy on that?
And right now, you get a chance as your Matt Dunstone to throw the exact shot you just threw. That rock is further buried than the last one.
I'll throw very similar for you.
Dude ended up with 10 seconds left on their clock there. Miles of time. Dunstone had both their timeouts.
Yeah, that's a year for Cooey to have left on the clock.
So basically same shot. Matt Dunstone just threw a little bit less. What they can see. Final stone at Dunstone. Board weight just needs to catch a good piece of this yellow. A little bit of a set. That's the curl right now. Really needs to curl.
Come off the backside of his red one and get in there. You got enough of it.
And that is just enough. And that's ball game at Dunstone. Takes the 7-5 victory over Mike McEwen and will advance to take on, we believe, Bruce Mowat in the Co-op Canadian Open quarterfinals. John, it's been a pleasure. Great to have you up here. And I'm not sure when you guys are taking off again, but who knows? Maybe you get the call to pop back in here at some point if you haven't found your way up into that bar upstairs for the little nooner here, too. Mr. Mike's time, somewhere else, as we call it, for our sponsor. But, yeah, appreciate you coming in, Skipper.
Yeah, it's been fun getting a chance to talk about the game and not having to see it back from my angle and talk to myself.
Yeah, felt like old times, just kicking around strategy, whatever. As always, we agreed the vast majority of the time. But for myself, John Schuster, the home team live crew, will be back for the quarterfinals this afternoon. Double checking the time to make sure we have it correct for you. Yes, the women's quarterfinals at noon today. Feature matchup will have commentary once again. Tyler George, John Schuster, and the home team live crew. We will see you later today.